Thank you.
Greg, introduce us.
What?
Welcome back, everybody, to Dungeon Brew. This is our third episode of the Short Rest, where we come together and talk about what the heck happened yesterday, and a lot happened. So why don't we just dive right into it, gentlemen, about my failures and your subsequent failures following my failures that led to a very awkward session where not a lot was accomplished.
There was a lot of sexual innuendo.
Wow. All right.
Wait, there was?
Yeah.
There was a
That's
lot
over
last
my
night,
head.
yeah.
There was a lot of whole talk.
It wasn't intentional
Yeah.
sexual innuendo.
I think that's something that we all need to come to terms with before we can move on.
I've come to terms.
Okay.
I'm good. We can move on.
Excellent. I feel like there were just a bunch of assumptions on both ends that kind of got us to that point yesterday.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it came to my realization. So those that are watching the episodes, of course, the party was making some plans and scheming about how they were going to approach things. From the GM standpoint, like I was trying to determine at what point you guys were going to take action to talk to somebody to kind of shoot down some of those things, and that opportunity just never came up. And honestly, some of the things you guys were talking about didn't even materialize in my mind about what exactly you were trying to do, because on my creative end, I hadn't created anything that looked like that. So it wasn't even until like the end of the session that I was like, oh, that's what they've been talking about this entire time, because I never conceptualized it from my standpoint, because I had a whole different map and a whole different situation created.
Right, and the exact opposite was, well, the exact same thing was true for us, but in reverse. Never even entered. I don't think any of us thought that well, for one, the actual routine for the day of was different than we thought, and then we also all thought that why would they divide up these manuscripts into different locations? What sense does that make? So conceptually, we're like, they've got to be in a central location, so obviously we just need access to wherever that is. The vault of the manuscript, wherever that happens to be.
Yeah, which is a failure, ladies and gentlemen, and those that identify otherwise, on my part as a GM in trying to describe this well. I very much recognize that I should have introduced it differently.
Well, it was one of those things. We thought, like we've said, we thought it was one thing. It was totally different. And nobody bothered to, on both ends, say,
ask or clarify.
Let's verify real quick.
Yeah.
So, is what it is, right?
Yeah, I felt bad after the end of our session, because I think the end of the session felt pretty jumbled in managing two different time frames of things coming together, and so it feels kind of rushed and awkward. So we got to somehow hit a reset button coming into our fourth session.
Well, to be fair, the dragon plan went almost just like that too.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's
recurring
six one
issue.
way, half dozen the other. We're great at making plans. The execution's a little hairy still.
We're great at making plans without facts.
A lot of assumptions.
Yeah.
I
in the headspace.
I feel like you're really understating our ability to do that. I mean,
Am I?
We're like professionals at making plans without the facts.
Yes.
We do that very well.
It's true. We do.
Well, see, that's Josh's job. Is we make the plans. He has to figure out how they're going to work.
I may have needed to strong arm you guys a little bit more. In the back of my mind, I kept thinking, oh, they're going to go talk to this guy and I'll shoot this down, or oh, they'll go engage in this space and I'll be able to shoot that down. But even at the end of the day, which was 11 o'clock, 1 in the afternoon, I was like, all right, anything you guys want to do for the rest of the day? And you're like, oh, we're just going to hang out and go have supper at Don's house. and I was like, I thought you guys were going to go interrogate people and talk to people and work through stuff. And you guys are like, nah, we're just going to go have supper. And so
I think all of us filled our time with things that made sense at the time. Greg trying to figure out what's going on in Clucas, and reasonably, that would have taken him a while. Todd with Eretmir going, I've got this planned for shopping and then going and getting the herbs and mixing potions.
Yeah.
That couldn't have been short. Don was still locked in his library. I don't know what 𝐸𝐤𝐤 was doing, but for the most part, most of us
hanging out.
Just hanging out, doing my job.
Yeah. But I feel like for the most part, we did have things that at the time felt like they were consuming the amount of time that we had available to us.
Yeah.
Well, I think 𝐸𝐤𝐤 was getting lectured by his moms about having grandbabies. So
yeah, there was that.
I was kind of curious if they are like pushing you towards one of your assistants that helps you, either Anastasia or the other person.
I don't know. They weren't forthcoming with that.
I don't think they care, just so long as the result at the end is the same.
Just give me a grandbaby. That's all I want.
Don't care about the partner.
No, not really. Or if there is one. I don't know if they care there either.
So I do have to say, there was a point in the story where you were talking to Greg about the other commander who sent out half his army or his soldiers out. And so you said he sent out the what are they called? Like his...
The voivode?
Voivode, yes. You said he sent out the voivode, and then you made it sound like the commander sent his wife with them. Like he sent his wife. And I was just thinking of... What?
His wife is the voivode.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I was just hearing this. Like,
wrong.
He sent out the voivode, and then he sent out his wife. And I was like, does he not like spending time with his wife? Like, hey, they're going to go possibly in battle. Hey, honey, you want to travel with them? Yes!
No, his wife is his voivode. He sent out the voivode who is his wife.
Gotcha. Okay, that's where I missed that. I was just laughing, like thinking, like, this is very strange. I'm sending out the men. Honey, go with them.
And
okay, that clears that up.
In charge.
Well, that makes that's that answer.
That makes way more sense.
Yeah. So I am curious with, I don't know what everybody's thoughts are on the whole situation with what is it, 𝐸𝐤𝐤𝐤? 𝐸𝐤𝐤𝐤. I was and me as the player, I'm still very confused on how like we plan to utilize that. Like, I know we're talking about using him as like an in to get in, but
we don't need...
I don't know, the whole political intricacies. I think if anybody had half a brain to be like, man, no, just go away.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing. I think that there were certain plans we were making that made sense based off of the assumptions of what we thought were true. But I don't even know that we need 𝐸𝐤𝐤𝐤 at this stage. We also don't really need the additional manuscript to offer at this stage. Like, neither one of those things seem to make sense with the current situation. So we were,
with everything kind of being laid out in the field, and then individuals having the other scrolls.
Right. Unless we try and use one of those scrolls to swap with someone else, potentially, and say, oh, use this instead. But I don't even know that that's necessary because we prepared fakes. So yeah, I don't know where 𝐸𝐤𝐤𝐤 fits into this except for as a source of information.
So I think that's what I'm trying to clarify too, because again, I know that we were running kind of two scenarios at once. Is it the are we in agreement that you guys met with 𝐸𝐤𝐤𝐤 and just kind of weaseled some information out of him about each one of the three people that are holding the scrolls?
Yeah.
If that's what you wanted to happen, at the time, I was merely trying to see what we ourselves knew. And I think you kind of jumped forward in time to allow us to converse with 𝐸𝐤𝐤𝐤 to get that information, which was
I think from a lot of our roles and such throughout the night said that we didn't know shit about most of the stuff.
Well, we never got the opportunity to roll for... there's too many names. You
didn't roll for Karina or Benjamin. You just rolled really on.
Oh, yeah.
We never got the opportunity to roll for them. And that's kind of what I was after at the time, was just going, okay, what basic information do we know about these people? Because it's also a town of 500 or 600. which is a town that you and me and Greg grew up in. I don't know about Jason and Todd, but that's about the size of the town we grew up in, which means that you do know most people and you do know most things about them, which makes it reasonable that we would have been able to go, yes, I know these things about him. I've heard these rumors. I know these things about other individuals in the town.
If you're social, John, I don't know much shit about most of the people that were in the town that we grew up in.
Well, I don't know.
That's fair, but the characters that we're playing seem like they'd be in the know.
They seem like sociable people.
Well, they've also, like, Don, for instance, is more than a century old. So even if he's not that social, there's a lot of information he would have picked up in over a century about the people he lives with.
Yeah.
So, in regard to your question, that's your call, whether or not that information came from 𝐥𝐢𝐤𝐞 or if that's information that we already had ourselves.
I think that's fair that you could pull the information about these characters on your own, though I think you would have to speak to 𝐥𝐢𝐤𝐞 to know who is holding the scrolls.
Correct. Yeah, that makes sense.
That I agree with. Yeah.
Though I don't think we need his involvement much past that.
So we can give him the poison?
Will you quit trying to murder people?
I am still not opposed to the idea of a little bit of murder.
Don shouldn't be opposed to it. The rest of these three are lawful evil. There's laws that they follow. Don is not a lawful evil character. He's neutral evil. So I'm very surprised that the other three would ever even entertain the idea of breaking the law within their city.
Now, is making someone mildly sick intentionally breaking the law?
The poison that 𝐿𝐼𝐸 prepared is not
mild
sickness.
𝐿𝐼𝐸's
depends on how you roll.
He
roll for one.
Not 𝐿𝐼𝐸's poison. Get some mild poison. Shit's for.
That's what he was trying to make.
Kill a horse.
I don't know what happened. He was like, I'm just gonna give somebody some
food poisoning.
Yeah, like food poisoning, and instead
he rolled a 95%. That's what happened. He made some potent.
It was a hell of a roll.
He made cyanide.
I thought that was just the percentage of the potion I found or made or something.
Like how many?
The strength.
Or like how accurate he was to the actual attempt, maybe. Like one of those things, but no, he's just like dialed it up to 11.
So if we get like a mason jar of water and put a drop of that poison in there and dilute it,
the whole town's dead.
Test it out. Test it out.
Somebody poison the water hole.
How it goes for you.
I think that poison is going to be a little more beneficial on dragons. I think.
I mean, I feel like we're a little bit splitting hairs here because at the same time, we're kind of doing illegal activity by going behind the Archon's back and trying to preserve our ways.
See, there's a difference between preserving the old order of power and murdering the new order of power. There's a difference there.
I am very curious about that exact point. Like, what are the actual laws in regard to the extent of the power of the Ninth Council versus the Carrion Council? And are they both lawfully powerful? If we're obeying one and not obeying the other, are we in some way violating the law? Like, how does that work?
So what has essentially been occurring, which we talked about a little bit, I think, in the first session, is that the Archon is passing laws gradually to have a smooth transition from one council to the other council. And so it's almost like a shift in power of the presidency in a way, where there's just like slight executive orders that are being passed in time to shift the power over, to strip it from the Carrion Council and give it to the Ninth Council. So it's kind of like this smooth transition where they're changing over and moving. But eventually it will be at the state that you guys would be expected to, like you're paying tithes now to the Ninth Council, being expected to follow underneath the new power leader within the city.
Yeah, I haven't seen them come back by my house for the tithe yet.
This is true. I did have that in my notes. We did not get time to cover that.
No.
Well,
I was at my house all day.
Yeah.
That's their fault.
I'm honestly like, I know that this next session of ours is going to be very intense because we got to kind of cover a couple of different things all in one. It's going to be very combat heavy, I think, as you guys try to get through this. And then also, pursue killing the blue dragon. And so it's going to be a lot in this next session. Because in my mind, this last session was going to be like an hour and a half of kind of the stuff that I was doing with the story. And then you guys just go into the festival and completing things. But I had a complete misunderstanding of what you guys were trying to accomplish.
It happens.
Yeah.
It was good. I mean, it was useful information, right? I mean, I think we have a fairly solid plan, or at least the basis of a solid plan.
Yeah.
Groundwork.
Yeah, base. Yeah. I think knowing what we're going into with the fairgrounds helps, or the festival grounds, whatever. With it being an open area, I mean, we knew going into it there was no temple. I guess my assumption, and again, this is going back to on me too, is I should have asked. The assumption was it was inside the city at like a festival, town square, festival ground, something, right? And there was a hall, a place to actually house these scrolls, and they could burn them, which was their intent, and that's not the case. So it's information we needed to know, and it's good we know it.
So can we actually state what our plan is?
Could we?
No,
so,
that's confidential.
I have a quick question before we move on about the law and order aspect of things. The Carrion Council had to get permission from the 𝐴𝐸 to retrieve the scrolls, right?
Initially?
You mean the Ninth Council had to?
Sorry, yes. The Ninth Council had to get permission from the 𝐴𝐸 in order to raid the library and get the manuscripts.
Correct.
So they had permission, which means that they are acting lawfully in retrieving the manuscripts, and then they also are acting lawfully in burning the manuscripts.
Yes, I feel like you're setting me up for failure, but continue.
Yep.
Well, that's it. So if we're abiding by the law, then we shouldn't be trying to retrieve the manuscripts.
Steal the manuscripts.
Which means killing is okay. No, sorry.
Slippery slope.
I mean, that's the moral trek I was following.
Yes, it is a bit tongue-in-cheek. You were correct in this, John. You guys would be essentially going against the law to preserve something. I guess it depends on how you perceive cardinal laws and at what place you range each one of these.
Well, I'm Dawn, so I don't have to worry about that. I don't have to struggle with that moral quandary. But
yeah,
I don't live here.
Put an enemy down quick and fast.
For the rest,
𝐸𝐸's a religious zealot, so it's fine. He'll do it.
Trying to figure that bit out, like what laws were allowed, what laws we're following, which ones we're not following when it comes to following a lawful path.
It seems Josh really doesn't want us to break the whole "don't kill people" law.
Yeah. You can. I mean, you can. There's just certain people that are probably you're gonna have a more difficult time killing. But I mean, I to John's point, I did have this in the like in my notes in my book that you guys would have the choice on whether or not you actually want to burn the manuscripts or protect them, because it should be a quandary for a couple of you at least on whether or not you want to follow through with that.
But they can't make the Varkalok without them, is what they told us.
That's what they told you. They told you that they needed them in order to make the Varkalok.
Okay, so
I mean, you could come back to them and say, is there another way? I mean, Dorife clearly knew some stuff by memory. It may just come across differently in his new retelling of it.
A bit grandiose.
I mean, Dawn would know most of this stuff fairly well, but I don't know that Dawn understands what the Varkalok is enough to know whether or not they need them.
It's more of just a retelling of the actual history as close as possible so that it's not lost.
Okay, so they're just wanting to copy the information from there into the Varkalok, which is effectively what we already did in the manuscripts that I created.
Yes, to some degree, yes.
Cool. Okay. Well, Todd, moving on, you were wanting to figure out what our actual plan is, I think.
Which may be that you guys just let them be burnt. It could just be that you're like, hey, we're going to let them be burnt, and you give them the fakes and say, this is as we can get to what it is. That's on you guys. Sorry, Todd, go ahead.
No problem. I had 2 points and then I realized I forgot one of them. But I was going to say, to be clear, Aramir was not actually trying to kill anyone. He just wanted something to maybe make someone sick so they couldn't be at the thing. So he wasn't actually going against his views, but then people started talking about, well, let's just give it to him anyways. Like, I don't know. And I think, I remember my second point. I think the real reason you don't want us to kill anyone is because then you might have to rewrite your books, and that'd probably be a major pain because that character no longer exists. So
some of these people could probably die, and it's not going to affect a whole lot, to be honest, Todd. I think the reason why your character would not want to be responsible for killing somebody is it's going to cause potential issues between your entire civilization and the Stygians.
Yes, but I also recognize, or I guess it seems like we're already heading towards problems. I mean, if they're loving dragons and wanting to go off and kind of be, I guess, dragon hippies, it's probably not going to set well with my people who are like, yeah, we want to kill them. Sorry. So I feel like there's already some tension. Plus, are my people in with Marheen or...
Yeah, you guys worship Marheen.
So, I mean, it seems like there's already going to be problems and tensions arising from where they're shifting to.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because basically they're giving up their commonality and alliance with the Ispalini and trying to exchange it for the Vucari. Which from an Ispalini standpoint means that you're basically choosing not to be allied with us anymore. So yeah, at what point does Eretmir go, well, I guess if all of the half the Stygian population is my enemy,
drop a poison.
These are all choices for you. I'm excited to see how you guys decide to handle these things.
It'll be interesting. So as far as the plan goes,
right?
Back to that question we asked 20 minutes ago.
How many vials of poison do we have?
4.
Enough for each of you to drink.
Game over, man. Your move.
Thought about that too.
Guess that's always an option.
As everyone takes a drink.
No grandbabies. Yeah, right.
Need the Kool-Aid.
Eretmir is going to have a drinking contest. Hopefully that pans out.
Now we're going out of order because I probably have to be the last thing that happens.
Are you?
Yeah, that's kind of...
Yeah, because the drinking stuff is in the evening.
Because if we have the guy drinking ahead of time and he sobers up by the time we get there.
Yeah, we got the schedule at the end of night last night.
Right.
I want to be very transparent. I'm going to trace it. You guys have time to execute all your plans at the evening party.
Right.
You guys need to show up to the evening party and execute whatever you need to do in that time period.
Well, I think
but we were talking about the order, and if, for example, we do the drinking stuff like too early, then the guy might sober up by the time we are ready for. I like just trying to think of how it needs to kind of happen in order.
Plus,
if I get plastered in the very beginning and they need my help, and then I'm like passed out over there going, oh.
We also wanted to be able to support one another so that it wasn't just one person trying to accomplish each task, like, alone. So that, like, the more that we plan them out and separate it out, the more opportunity that each of us can assist. So if we begin with Mihail sometime earlier in the day, that means that we don't have to worry about that. It's accomplished. And it's also the one most likely to fail, which means that gives us an opportunity to come up with a plan B.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which I think is naked pudding wrestling.
That was with the other guy.
Oh, okay. I thought that was plan B for every one of them.
Oh,
I'm just saying.
I mean, it probably would work.
Not going to say no.
Toss it out in the center of the festival.
Except they don't have pudding, so it's gravy.
I'm just saying, if it's like 6 o'clock in the evening and they're setting up, and you guys show up around 6:30 or 7, you can do your first thing, and then by 8 o'clock you do your second thing. 9 o'clock, you're doing your third thing and drinking. By 10:30, they're doing the burning of the documents. Like, all of it happens as they're doing this big festival that's lasting well into the night. It's not necessarily a thing that you have to, like, go try to track down people that are setting up a festival in the middle of the afternoon and have conversations with them while they're running back and forth doing stuff and being like, stop talking to me, I'm trying to, like, organize stuff for this evening.
I stand by my previous statement. It gives us time for a plan B. If we start at 6:30 and it immediately goes sideways, then we're panicking trying to come up with a plan B.
What's plan B?
I don't know. Pudding.
Fireball.
Gravy.
Oh, yeah. Gravy wrestling.
Yeah.
Fireball.
Is plan C the fish with gravy? Because I think that should be in there.
They don't sell the fish anymore.
Dang it.
They got rid of it.
They got rid of it fast. I mean, one
yeah,
night.
well, you screwed that up for everybody, so.
How did I screw it up? I actually ordered it.
It's true.
That's what screwed it up.
No one had ever ordered it before.
Yeah.
Aside from the actual, like, timeline or time frame of when we're doing it, the actual events that we're doing, Mihail is talking to Karina's brother to try and convince him to get the scroll from his sister. I
yes,
believe
because he has the he's on
the fence. Right.
So how is your plan to do that? That's what I'm trying to understand. You're going to go talk to him in the middle of him setting up stuff at the actual Wolos temple outside of town with 100 other people around setting stuff up?
Are they actually the ones, like, setting stuff up? Don't they hire people to do that?
They're overseeing everything. Like, they're all standing there together working on stuff and doing things.
I mean, how is that different than having a conversation with him in the middle of the festival with 400 people hanging out around?
I don't know that it's any different. That's just what I'm trying to understand.
Well, my first thought would be to take the forged version that Dawn made, go to the brother and try and convince him that this is the real document and he needs to get the other one away from her in some fashion. Alternatively, would be trying to suborn him to our cause against the Ninth Council, and that seems more difficult.
See, I was thinking the reverse was true.
Mm-hmm.
That it would be more difficult to get him to convince him that you have the real one and that she has the fake one, because then he's just going to be like, well, why don't you go talk to her about this? Like, don't talk to me.
Well, she's not going to trust me, obviously.
Well,
Yeah.
but I think the other part is why wouldn't he just say thanks? Let's throw them both in.
Yeah, that's
because I think we
Yeah,
had that conversation earlier, and that was kind
fair,
of I feel like appealing to his being on the fence is that even the thought of you kind of. I've heard that maybe you're on the fence or you're kind of leaning both ways, and this is a way to preserve the other way, and you preserve it and it keeps it around, and there you go. I mean, trying to think of a way how to say that or word it, but
yeah, no, that was my thought, was basically just going in and saying, better to be safe than sorry. Basically, don't do anything rash. Let's try and protect the knowledge that we have, and then we don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes more sense, going about it that way.
But where that conversation takes place, I would imagine that's kind of why we're wanting to start earlier in the day, is so that we can basically just stalk him and go, oh, he's heading off on his own to go get some more napkins. Let's talk to him, because he left the area.
Mm-hmm.
Let's catch him in an alley.
Tell him a box of napkin or a crate of napkins or something got delivered to your armory instead of the swords that your soldiers never use, and suggest that you need him to come and make sure that's where they're supposed to go. And
check out this box of fine napkins in my basement.
Yeah.
The end of this
and tell them that they're not the off-brand. These are the high quality.
It's the good stuff.
Yeah.
God, you're such a predator, Greg.
These aren't no great value napkins. You don't lure Stygians with candy. You lure them with napkins.
Nice napkins.
Nice napkins.
A little bit of lace in there.
Yeah, cloth, lace.
Yeah. So I am curious, and I assume this is just because of the culture, but with the rise of the Ninth and this new religion, and I get removing the Carrying Council and not having that as a governing body or whatever you want to call it, but is the purpose of actually destroying it just because of feuding ideologies, or is there something else there?
To you guys' understanding, it's feuding ideologies is what it is, and it's almost like if you were to go and infiltrate, another, province, and you're trying to convert them to your religion, you would pull down their statues, burn all their books, and only leave them with what's left of your particular teachings. I've given you guys lots of clues about other things, but I know I've given you so much information that it's a bit overwhelming.
Right.
Jonathan learned tons in his reviewing of the manuscripts to decide what to do. There's also tons of clues that were in you guys' interrogation at the Vukhari, and there's been other little kind of drop things that I've kind of pieced along the way as breadcrumbs. But it's just a matter when you guys start putting it all together.
Yeah, there is an overwhelmingly huge amount of information that at this point has become, to a large degree, white noise.
Yeah.
I don't know what to pay attention to or to look
our
at.
Characters have been progressing for all of like a day and a half, 2 days, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's so much that we've learned. You got your attempt.
And then you guys ran.
Yeah, you missed it every time.
Somebody,
You
missed
I wasn't going to
swung
miss
the
this
axe.
next time. Oh.
That's what you said the last 2 swings.
Coming from the general who hid behind rocks and...
I was overseeing the battlefield and I fired the asset.
It's not wrong.
Yeah. Don was dead. I mean...
He got what we get went there for.
I did exactly as a good general should.
Sacrifice the pawns.
Yep.
Yeah. The only thing that matters is the objective.
I guess right now the only thing that matters to me now is which one of you is going to betray me.
All of us.
Yeah, I'm not sure. There was a lot of like hidden jabs in there.
Uh-huh.
There really were.
I'm
definitely sowing some discord there.
Yeah.
Well,
your parents really don't think highly of you guys. At first, they're like setting you off to die. Then they're worried about you. Then they're accusing you of being traitors. And then when I threaten to kill you if you betray me, then it's like, wait, no, don't do that.
Well,
what are we doing here?
Well, they said don't do that, but they're like, we understand 𝐸𝐸 rage. So if you end up doing it, I guess that's that.
I don't want you to, but it's fine if you have to.
Don't do it, but it's okay if you do. It's fine, really.
But we may be angry.
Sort of.
But you have no power.
We'll get over it.
Parenting 101, guys.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
Yeah, encourage strength by fostering enemies.
Well, I feel like this chat's been good. I don't think we're any closer to actually having any more of a plan than we had before. So that's nice.
Nope.
Joshua has once again intimated that there's a ton of things that we're missing, and all of us, I still feel like, are completely clueless as to what that means.
Yep.
And we've got...
It makes it more exciting that way.
Yeah. Yeah, we got next week to look forward to, where we try to put our non-plan into action before trying to kill a dragon of the same relative power level that we couldn't kill before.
Well,
I would say we have a half-baked plan at least.
And we have poison.
Tops.
And we have poison.
Which I think I think that's why many of us keep defaulting back to the poison, is because it feels like a sure thing.
I just want to say, would you rather just have a plan or a plan with poison?
I'm with you, man.
I agree. I do have a question, actually. Means we were talking about the whole law and the stuff like that. So when we initially talked about me playing 𝐸 and his personality, and he is a religious zealot, for lack of a better term.
Mm.
I feel like he'd be kind of okay with doing that.
His law, as we talked about, is primarily to Marhina over the �ฑ𝐤𝐤𝐻. He still wants to, but it was also that his duty was to protect the �ฑ𝐤𝐤𝐻.
It is the people, yes.
Yeah, the people overall. A person is not the people.
Right. Bingo.
Yeah.
So poison is okay.
That's where 𝐸 sees it.
We're just going to find as many different ways we can get Josh to just be almost like he's saying we can do the poison.
Well, I mean, Dawn is okay with the poison. 𝐸 is okay with the poison. Eretmir's from a different place. And as far as he's concerned, the people he wants to use the poison against are enemies of Marhina. So we just have to convince Mihail.
Or we can poison him.
Well, according to the parents, he's most likely the traitor.
Yep. That Caligula.
Well, from what I understand, I'm a ruthless warlord of sorts, so murder is out of my purview.
Well, and the Caligula line is pretty famous for just doing what they want to do.
They are.
Yeah, so
it sounds like poison is on the
poison's
table.
on the menu.
There's plan B.
I think we have the title for this short rest. Poison's on the menu.
Who are we poisoning exactly?
We don't know. We're just going to poison everyone.
How strong is the poison?
The three Boondock Saints. We could kill everybody.
All right. That's what I need to know.
Well,
we'll just cap the keg at the temple construction there, and everyone there will die.
Like council isn't attending, right?
We were just going to poison the old man. But then we realized that there were other people with manuscripts, so it would be poisoning anyone with a manuscript, basically. Which might be suspicious.
So I'd also like to poison the person that made the decision that we're no longer having the fish and gravy. I think that would help throw off suspicion.
That's the wife.
Bam.
These three people and Gary.
Poor guy.
That way when they investigate, they go, hey, oh wait, this fourth one throws the whole thing off.
Yeah.
We don't know the connection. We're going to have to keep digging.
Clearly, it was food poisoning from the pub.
Serial killer
They killed
101.
these specifically 4 people.
You only kill blondes, and then you kill the random redhead, and they go, the pattern doesn't make sense anymore. I don't know.
Of course, we're all redheads, so that might be a problem.
You got to keep them guessing.
Oh, that's going to be good.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Another episode of The Short Rest.
Joshua has been completely defeated. He just sat back in his chair. For
He did. He really did.
I just don't know what to do. I mean, I guess we'll see what happens. We'll just start it off and be like, all right, Mihail, go talk to the brother, and then we'll just move down the line.
Right.
My goal is to get you guys through the end of the dragon situation by next week. So
that is our goal too.
And by the end, do you mean like it's pooping us out because it's ate us, or
that is almost synonymous in what I meant.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will point out that if we go with the poison route, that would really expedite the first half of the next session.
It may end up with us ending this after 4 sessions instead of 12.
I think that's been
we tried it too, so let's keep it going.
You did survive the first 2. All right, folks. Thanks for hanging out with us again here on Dungeon Brew. This has been The Short Rest. Hit the like button, the subscribe button, and we will see you guys again next time. I guess tune in next week and see what's going to happen, because I have no idea.
Neither do we.